Scott Goldstein, 24 East One Drive. Can I get an update on the affordable housing process?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand you.
Can we get an update on the affordable housing process, when the next court date is, where we are in negotiations, whatever you're able and willing to share with the public?
I actually don't have any update for you, Scott. I'm not the co-attorney. I'm not aware of any upcoming court dates, and beyond that, it's obviously ongoing litigation, so the committee can't comment in public on it.
We don't know the date for the next court.
I didn't get a date, but I don't know.
We don't have a date as far as I'm aware. There's going to be phone calls back and forth between our co and the attorney to set a date. But as I'm aware now, we do not have a date.
I don't think we have a date right now.
Okay, so I was at the courthouse. The judge did set a date. I just don't recall it. I thought there would be some, since you guys are.
Was it open? Was it an open?
Yeah.
It was, no,
That-
was the next date an open public hearing?
Yes, he set a date for, he did set a date for them to come back to give for the next, public court hearing.
Okay.
So I was just trying to
I
get that
didn't
date.
get it. I don't know. I haven't heard it. I haven't had any, we haven't had any updates.
We haven't heard another date yet.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public here to speak? Gee. The man. Mr. Ray.
Mr. Rage, oh, that's not a good thing. You want the truth, you can't tell, no. For the record, I'm Kim G., 8 Sage Street. I just want to thank the committee for adopting the two resolutions. Obviously, especially since this morning I was over at the New Jersey Transit Board meeting. I mentioned that you guys were going to have it on the agenda, and then it was really great because I mentioned that Frank Paloma sent a letter in to them, New Jersey Senator Declan Scannon, Assemblywoman Amy Hammond, Assemblywoman Serena Damaso, Hazard Township, Holmdel, and then on tomorrow's agenda will be the freeholders. So really appreciate that. You can make a light out of me this morning. But I know that it has not been easy for you guys as well too. So I know there's a lot of questions and things like that. But I think what goes unsaid is that all the time and commitment you guys have put in. So not only for the two resolutions, but really on behalf of a lot of the residents, I want to say thank you to the Township Committee.
Thanks belongs to you.
No, we thank you. Without you,
We'll have
we
you
couldn't
back
get
for
this
next
far.
time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the public here to speak tonight? Joe.
Joe Crowley, 15 Ely Road. Again, thank you, gentlemen, for all your work. Appreciate it. I do want to reiterate what I said last meeting, which Pete and Bob Manning mentioned, which is I do think there is a compelling need for a turf field to address youth and high school sports for Holmdel. The SJV field notwithstanding. Question I have is there a time frame that we can expect? I understand this is dependent on budget, but is there a time frame on which we can expect to have decisions made on what we will do and what we won't do?
I would think, since we're going to hold a workshop on that in short order, we would probably introduce a budget at our next meeting and then be able to talk about specifics on recreation improvements. I'm sure that's what you're most interested in. So I'm hoping within 30 days to 45 days, we'd have a plan in place. If, and I know you're interested in the SATS location, there are two very important issues with that need to be flushed out after that initial 30-day period. The first is, can we get into a shared services agreement that's acceptable to both the township and the Board of Education? So the Board of Ed has to understand what we would like to spend our money on and look at a plan. They haven't really looked at a plan yet. There's been no formal plan shared with the Board of Education representatives, so they need to look at that. And it was also brought up as a DEP application process. And I've spoken to Mr. Mullen about it, and that can take a number of months. So if there's anything that's going to be done at the SATS facility, I would think we're probably 6 months away from being able to put a shovel in the ground. if this committee actually supports that. And as you can tell, we're not necessarily 100% behind that at this point.
I understand that. My question isn't when we would start digging, but when we would have a plan of record. I assume it's dependent on the budget.
Yes.
Are there any, has there been any prioritization of needs done? Because you can prioritize needs without knowing, you can come up with your shopping list without knowing all of what you can spend. And is there any internal consensus among the committee in terms of any of these needs?
I would say no to that last question, but we'll find out at the workshop exactly where everybody's priorities are.
Okay, and so we're looking for 30 to 45 days before a budget is set, and we know what the plan of record is depending on DEP and agreement with the school board. Is that, did I hear that correctly?
I think that's about, in my mind, I think that's a fair timeline, yes.
Okay, and the next, we could expect some discussion on this at the next meeting as well? The next town committee?
I would think so, yeah. We're going to try to have that workshop in advance of the next meeting. We're going to talk about that once we close the public portion tonight, so I would say yes to that as well.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Okay. Seeing no new faces in the crowd with any questions, I'm going to suggest we close the public portion. Okay. So, a little chatter up here, Jeanette. We're thinking of a workshop on Saturday morning, if you are available. Can take a look at that, and that would require Fran. I would like you to be there as well.
Can I say something? Do you need to do more? Saturday morning, all our kids have sports. That is so wrong.
Okay.
I'm sorry. That is wrong.
You know what?
Meetings on Saturday morning.
Scratch that. Scratch
I'm sorry,
that.
but-
That's okay. We'll scratch that. It's just a suggestion. You know what? You're right. I'm well past my coaching days, so I'm sorry about that. But I got to tell you, I think it came from my right. I think the suggestion came from my right. So, yes.
I mean, if it's raining, we won't have a field, so we're good.
It's flooded.
What's the schedule?
Why are you stuck your hat? Kids? Lots of kids.
Thursday night, we have,
The
19th is good. I think we have a zoning.
So, you know what?
Yeah, how's your schedule look on the 19th? Fran, the 19th, good?
Sure, the 19th is fine. So can I just get clarification so that we can be prepared? Is this going to be a full review of the entire budget again, as well as capital? So that, you know, do you want the department heads here?
So we went through every department in the ordinary budget.
I don't think we need the department. We need you here,
Okay,
and we need the whole budget.
okay.
And you need the capital, right? Yes. Okay, so we're looking at April 19th, 7:30.
What day of the week is it?
Thursday night.
That's the SAT school play.
So, okay, workshop, 7:30, April 19th, it's a Thursday night, right here. We will discuss the budget and capital improvements.
Well, that's the SAT school play night. Does that not count? If, you
Doesn't
know,
count.
Saturday morning
Sorry.
is, you know, that's a lot of families involved in that.
That's why Saturday's so good.
Right.
I got Sunday. Sunday morning?
Saturday afternoon?
Motion to adjourn. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
I think that's wrong.